Good evening, this is Brother Bro here, coming to you from the Cannes Film Festival. I just saw Megalopolis. I'm so excited to dump to myself about this and to inform people of what's going on and to satisfy your curiosity, because Jesus. Most of you are familiar, Francis Ford Coppola, director of The Godfather, director of Apocalypse Now, The Conversation, one of the most renowned American directors of all time, considered kind of like a cinema god of the 70s. And in the last 2 decades, there haven't really been any films from him that people remember or hold in high regard, and he certainly has been out of the loop with Hollywood. So he went and sold a company that he had in order to finance Megalopolis, a passion project that has been percolating in his brain for I think 30 or 40 years. And now at the ripe age of 85, he can finally bring his vision to us. The result of the film speaks for itself. It is truly unmarketable and unjustifiable for a $100 million budget. Probably one of the most expensive indie films of all time. It's about a city called Megalopolis and an architect slash designer played by Adam Driver who is trying to conceive of what the future for this city could possibly be. And he's very captivated by visions for what a utopic future could look like. And standing in opposition to this worldview is Giancarlo Esposito, and he plays Mayor Franklin, whose vision for the city is very grounded in reality, the possibilities that he can bring to people right now. He's very much a populist. The film is primarily concerned with wrestling with this very idea of whether utopia is possible, what is the value of idealism. Even though I was having a lot of fun with it, but not necessarily in the way it wanted me to, I thought I was gonna like it. I was like, all right, I know that this film is like haphazardly assembled. It's very obviously haphazardly assembled, and it doesn't feel like complete. It feels like scenes could have been better edited, or just like they needed another take. But I thought, it was going to come together and I would be recommending it overall. I want to say, throughout all my criticisms, I think you should go see it because, you know who you are. If you're interested in Megalopolis, you just want to see what happened, what the fuck happened, go see it. You won't be disappointed in a certain sense. It's a wild fucking movie. It's quite a phenomenon to behold in a 100 million plus indie film that just feels like it's going off the rails in every direction, both in good and bad ways. And by the end, it had me saying, wait a second, this is like very empty of ideas in a shocking way. I was really trying to give it credit, knowing that this was percolating in Francis Ford Coppola's mind for so many years. There must be something here that he can give to the audience, some ideas that we can walk away with. And by the end, I just left saying, I don't think there was anything there. I don't like this ending. This feels obvious. It feels contrived. The conclusion of the movie feels completely cheap, like we were robbed of substance. I know this is kind of a tangent, but it really made me think about the fundamentals of what makes a good story. Maybe it is good to be idealistic about society. Okay, well, if I'm going to dramatize that and make that into a film, then I'm going to have characters that help me deepen this idea if I'm honest to who they are. And, I might give them ideological positions, but I also want to flesh them out as human beings, and then we'll get to the core and the humanity of this idea, as well as like just the intellectual part of it. And this film doesn't do that. It doesn't drill into the characters or into the story in an interesting way. I like when films are ambitious. I'm a fan of Beau is Afraid. I'm a fan of Bardo. Even when films like this don't work for me, I respect it and I recommend them to people who are interested and curious. And, this isn't an exception, but I really didn't like this movie, or think it's good, rather. Kind of enjoyed myself, didn't think it was good. It helps to understand the film as Adam Driver's character is paralleling Francis Ford Coppola in some ways. Clearly, this was a personal project for him, and Adam Driver's character is this architect who holds some kind of psychic connection to like the future that would benefit us the most, and he wants to actualize that onto society. He's also a product of wealth himself, so he holds lots of power that was just inherited by his father. And there's something that could have been dived into there where he could be grappling with whether he deserves to have this power and like what does it mean to inflict power and to use it in ways that you think are interesting to satisfy like the masses. I mean, does that really work? We see lots of examples where that doesn't work, but again, not really a question that the film seems interested in answering. In fact, the film seems packed with assumptions about how society works that are in line with how we're told about history, which is that like great men influence society. There's no character in the film who's not the heir of like some powerful person. And I think there's an underlying assumption that these are the people that do shape society and it's like kind of up to them. And I think that is unfortunately a sort of mindset that you could come upon if you, for example, like made some influential artwork. And maybe there's a level of self-importance here that is unchecked. There's a sequence that really made me think, oh, Francis Ford Coppola is writing this while high. Some lines are repeated over and over in voiceover in a way that I really liked and found entrancing. In certain sequences, the visuals become very surreal. Those are some of my favorite sequences in the film. It's as if this designer slash architect who has won a Nobel Prize and is very renowned in the world of the film. It's as if in the real world, you could become like him if you smoke weed, and then the ideas you get on weed and when you're high are actually good ideas. Like they actually can help you create something real and interesting. Those sequences made me just feel certain that a lot of this film was ideated in a slightly altered state. So overall, my feeling about Megalopolis is it's made by someone who likes to get high and believes that their ideas when they're high are really good ideas, and that it's enough to just have the ideas. I'm actually satisfied with that sentence. You know, and in the world of Megalopolis, this makes you very wealthy and gives you a Nobel Peace Prize. In the real world, I think this doesn't get you very far unless you inherit money. I think this film is a good example of when direction is not good, especially with the performances. Actors are always bringing everything they've got to a role, and in a sense, all good performances owe something to the director. Because, you know, you can think of examples like House of Gucci when it feels like the performances are in slightly different movies. And not only did the performances feel a little off at times, almost like you were watching a bad movie. There were decisions that the actors were making with like where they were moving, like whether it was toward the door, like they're about to exit a scene. But it doesn't make sense that they're about to exit the scene because, you know, that's not what they came into the scene to do. They came in because they wanted something. And it seems like the actors may have not understood what the assignment was. And I don't think Francis Ford Coppola, to be honest, understands his own film or what the vision was supposed to be exactly. Stylistically, I like some of the camera work, and in the teaser that was dropped, I think you see some of the examples of really solid cinematography and interesting visuals. But there are also a lot of shots in the film that feel bland and not like they're in the same movie, scene to scene. It has a strange artificial yellow glow happening throughout some scenes, and I can't tell if that was because of trying to give it a sci-fi look in post-production or not. And another huge problem with the direction in the film overall is that the female characters are poorly written, and their performances often hinge on what seems like would have been, you know, act sexy for this scene kind of directions. That's just what comes off in the final product. And Aubrey Plaza has a lot of scenes when she is seducing, and I have to say, I loved Aubrey Plaza in this only because she turned these scenes, which were awkward from the jump, into their own kind of camp. There are some scenes that in the right context would be absolutely hilarious. Like if there was a screening for Megalopolis in the spirit of getting high and having fun with the movie, Aubrey Plaza would own like 2 of those scenes based on the fact that she just is funny and she's not taking herself as seriously as like the rest of the movie is. She's doing the film a service. And Francis Ford Coppola, on the other hand, I feel like the direction he's giving the women is so corny that she was, you know, justified to give it this level of unreality, because if she played it seriously, it would have been just so hokey. Adam Driver here, I think it's a case of he does the best with what he can. Shia LaBeouf does what you think he would do. Like, he takes the opportunity to be extra quirky and strange, and I think it actually does work pretty well with this film, which is itself quirky and strange. The score was also not exceptional, and the sound was sometimes interesting and contributed to the psychedelic feeling in some scenes. To watch Megalopolis scene to scene is to wonder whether this scene is going to play out like it's from The Room, or whether another scene is going to play out and actually intrigue you with how it's being done, or maybe like some ideas that are being floated around. And other scenes are fascinating just based on their use of montage. And other scenes just feel like they're from kind of a bland movie, where I was thinking, oh, maybe this movie is kind of normal. Like, it's not that out there in terms of the story. My advice to people listening is that they go into the film with a very open mind, just as I did, and that helps me enjoy it. It helped me invest and try to find what I did think was interesting, because I think in order to criticize a film fairly, you do need to understand what was trying to be said and what it was going for, and find something to appreciate about it. And there's plenty to appreciate in Megalopolis. It's not all bad, but where it's important, it's not so good. And where it's important is in fleshing out ideas and ultimately like what it thinks it's giving to the audience. I think Francis Ford Coppola feels like he's giving something really interesting, and it's funny because it's nothing really at all by the end. I was like, wow, that's nothing. That's like a bumper sticker. the movie ends up being a weird bumper sticker, and there's like a clap your hands song. It's both an uninteresting, boring movie, and it's also like a very fascinating one. What I think it is surely not is a good story with well-developed characters and with meaningful ideas explored with honesty and giving you something that was very well thought out. I don't think it's well thought out. I think it's like a high thought that someone thought was a great idea and then decided to just like announce that thought in a movie form. That's what Megalopolis ends up being. But you should go see it because, you know, what the hell. I also really want to ask people the question who see it, what would you think of this movie if Francis Ford Coppola did not make it? Because it takes a whole lot of interest out of it. I think if Francis Ford Coppola were not the director of this movie, people would just say it's really, really bad. I was talking to a friend, Matt from Fantasy Film Ball, a YouTube channel you can check out, and he said the film is kind of like if Neil Breen were given $100 million to make a movie. And he's not wrong. But on the bright side, I'm just super excited about the movie, and I don't even know why. I'm just like, it just gets me pumped up. It just gets me going. I'm fired up. I'm excited to talk about it. I want to talk to other people about it. Go take your friends to it. Actually, you know, this is the whole question around the distribution of the film. What's going to happen to it? I hope I'm not the only audience to see it in the theater, but maybe I am. Like the distribution is a total question mark. Studios rightly are not going to assess the film as being very marketable, and they're definitely not going to get their money back. It is sad that so much effort went into this film and that it doesn't just seem to translate. Like the final product, I don't think will be remembered in a positive light. I was really looking for, you know, okay, maybe this film has ideas, maybe it could grow over time on people, and I just don't think it will. I want to give the film like a 2, a 4, and a 6 at the same time, but I'm gonna give it a 3. Oscars, it's not gonna do it. It's not gonna do it. Nothing. Much more Cannes reviews to come. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. How would you perceive Megalopolis if Francis Ford Coppola didn't make it?